Well, hello BookTube. It's been a few weeks. I thought I'd go ahead and hop on here and see what you guys are all up to, what you've been reading. Check that out in the comment section if you guys post anything down below. I hope you guys are reading something nice and spooky for this time of year. Today is Sunday. I'm on my way to work and haven't had much opportunity to film anything, so I'm kind of doing this on the road. Anyway, I have finished a couple books, a couple audiobooks, and reading quite a handful of things right now. So I finished two horror novels. One I mentioned in my last video, which was The Haunting of Quinby House by J.S. Donovan. I'll try to insert a picture of it again. Just a rehash of kind of the plot of the book. Our main character, Evelyn Carr, receives a letter saying that she has inherited a house from a father she's never even known. The man has been missing for 10 years, now declared dead. At the very beginning of the book, we see him hurriedly trying to write a letter to his daughter, apologizing for not being in her life, leaving his house to her, and there's somebody trying to break into the house. Somebody or something. And it's a very creepy intro to the book. But so she ends up inheriting this house, which is kind of good because her and her husband are kind of financially strapped. They're thinking this could be, a windfall for them. Maybe they can go and check out this place, maybe with a little bit of fixing up since it's been vacant for some 10 years. Maybe they can sell it. Turns out it's like a 17-room mansion, this plantation that has some ghosts attached to it. The ghosts are very interesting. They play quite a prominent role as the story kind of goes along. They're very detailed characters themselves, not just kind of, what do you call it, not just like shadows or something. They're very distinct characters in themselves. But what we have here is pretty much a history around this house. A lot of people suspect that her father played some kind of role in disappearances of people. And we have our main character, although Carr happens to be a bit of a private detective. So she's going to put her skills to the test to try and figure out what happened, where these people went, what happened. We basically have a sort of serial killer storyline along with this ghost storyline. It's the spirits of these people that kind of want release. They want justice, and it was pretty decent. I liked the like I said, I liked the characters, the setting. It was very well described, very kind of creepy, not super spooky, but a really good storyline and a good balance of that mystery / horror. So I really enjoyed it. After that, I picked up a Darcy Coates novel. I've read quite a few of this horror novel's writing. This was, and I may get the title mixed up because it's very similar to some of the other ones. The Haunting of Rookwood House. Our main character, his name is Guy. He's basically a rageaholic. He has anger issues that kind of caused the end of his relationship. He's a bit of a pariah because of the event that took place that he's blamed for, and so he's lost his job. He's out of work. He's having a hard time getting rehired by anybody. And as the story opens up, he's at his mom's house helping clean out the house and the attic, and he stumbles across deeds to a house that his mom had inherited quite some time ago, and she never did anything about it for whatever reason. And he's thinking, kind of similar to the other storyline, hey, maybe we could sell this house, So he doesn't have a lot of skills in terms of renovation, but he figures maybe he'd be able to do something. And he sets off to this house, which is very isolated. It's almost like being reclaimed by nature. It's swallowed by vines and forest. It's quite out of the way. But when he gets there, of course, very little phone reception. Actually, almost none by the time he gets out there. There's no electricity or running water, so he can't charge the phone. So, you're really, really isolated. And he decides to kind of camp out there and try and fix up the house. And there's a kind of parallel storyline that takes place 40 years before at the house, where we find out that there was some deranged woman that was haunting this family. That storyline was really, really interesting as it starts to unfold, and you don't quite know you're left sort of in suspense as to what's going on with this family, and this guy keeps seeing this woman, and then and he's fearful for his family and everything. You don't know quite as the storyline unfolds where it's going to go, but you find out in Guy's timeline as to what had happened in the past. But I have to tell you, this one didn't thrill me quite as much. I've loved all of her other books, but this one not so much. This one I think I gave like 2 stars on it. I never really connected with Guy. I didn't like his character. Some of the storyline was pretty slow while he's there at the house, and I don't know. It just I like the 40-year earlier storyline more so than his storyline, and yeah, it just wasn't one of my favorite ones. If you're gonna try a Darcy Coates novel, I wouldn't start with this one. Possibly the Carroll Hunt, I think, was one of them, or the Fulcrum Ghost. Though that was really good too. But this one I didn't really enjoy all that much. The other thing I think I mentioned in my last video was that I was listening to David Copperfield on audio, read by Richard Armitage. He did a fantastic job narrating and bringing all these characters to life, very distinct voices, and you could tell there's definitely an actor behind this narration. I didn't know much about David Copperfield or the storyline going into it. This is about approximately my 3rd, maybe 4th Charles Dickens novel. I started out with Christmas Carol, then I think I read another one of the Christmas stories, and then I read Great Expectations, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and now David Copperfield just, to me, trumped Great Expectations just a bit more. I think I enjoyed it even more. It's such rich characters that he creates that just bring these stories to life, and it is basically a coming-of-age story of this young boy named David Copperfield. At the time of his birth, his father had already passed away some few months earlier. That was just him and his mom, and Peggotty, she's sort of like the housemaid who treats David like her own son. And they have a really good relationship. His mom remarries to Murdstone, who's just awful to him and controlling, and he brings his sister to live with them, and they're both overbearing, both to David and his mother. Just despicable characters, but there are some wonderful characters within it. The Micawbers, Mr. Micawber is a character he'll meet later on, and this is a man who has a love of words. That's the best way to describe it. He can't say anything simply. It is like he's composing a very detailed letter full of unbelievable words every time he just utters a sentence. And at first, I will tell you, I did find it like annoying. I'm like, oh my God, just say it already. But as the story goes, and as you get towards the very end, he just becomes such an amazing character. I was just rooting for him, and yeah, he just brought such joy to my face. And the more he expressed himself, it made me laugh, kind of. But I really love that character, and I love the story of David and the relationships that he forges between the various women he falls in love with, the students he meets at school, the challenges that he faces, and I thoroughly enjoyed the whole story. And I will definitely be delving into more Dickens as I go. I think the other book I had mentioned that I was just starting, a physical copy, was The House of the Seven Gables by Nathaniel Hawthorne. I realize I keep always referring to it as The House of Seven Gables, but it's apparently The House of the Seven Gables. I'm still reading that one. I haven't completed that yet. I'm about halfway through. It's starting to pick up again. It got a little slow where we're following the current residents of the house, and it's starting to pick up where it's tying back to like basically, I kind of left this part out, but the story is about a house that's built on the property of a former man accused of witchcraft, and the guy who builds this house, Colonel Pynchon, is one of the people that accused that man of witchcraft. And the man who built the house for Colonel Pynchon was the son of the man that was accused. Very weird kind of combination of incidents, how all that kind of tied together, why this man would even build a house on his father's former land for this guy who accused his father of witchcraft. Anyway, there's also some reference to deeds to further property that this deed has kind of gone missing, and things are kind of coming back to like full circle, like around to that original character's storyline, and where this deed maybe has gone to, and yeah, it's kind of I'm looking to bring that other story part back into it. I'm kind of seeing where that goes, but I am enjoying it, like I said. And then for another physical copy of a book that I decided to pick up because I still was in the mood for something spooky now that I finished my other 2 novels. I picked up this book. This is The Stone Child by Dan Pawlowski. See that? This is actually a YA book. I'd read one of his books before called The Nightmares, which I really enjoyed. And this is about a young boy, along with his parents, moved to this town where he comes to find out that is where his favorite author once lived, but has now gone missing. And lots of weird things are happening within this town. People are very quiet about this author. They don't seem to like that he lived there, or there's some other weird hidden mystery going on. He ends up meeting this other boy who also is a fan of the stories, and apparently our main character's parents were like antique dealers, and they came across this book which happened to be written by his favorite author, but it's oddly in code, and he and the boy are trying to unravel the code and what's going on. And there's a lot of like stories within stories. You have this mysterious author's books that are quite often referenced between the 2 boys, and that man wrote horror stories, and they're finding a lot of connections between the places and creatures that took place in those stories in this town. Things seem to be coming to life, and there's definitely this other mystery to kind of unsolve. What is this book? Why did he write it in code? What happened to the author? And I'm really enjoying it. Just like a nice little lighthearted read, a little a little YA every once in a while. Never hurt anybody. And the only other thing I didn't mention was my current audiobook. I was just trying to hunt around for something, and I had something already downloaded, and it's another classic. For some reason I'm in the mood for classics, and I don't even remember what the basic plot is. This is by Jack London. It's The Sea Wolf. I was just in the mood for some kind of seafaring story, and all I know so far is that we're following this sort of gentleman. He lives off an inheritance from his father. He's never really done any physical labor for himself. He was on board a ship that ended up colliding with another ship. A lot of people lost their lives. He almost dies in the water, but is rescued at the last minute by this other ship. Brought on board, they're like a kind of a sea hunting ship or something like that. A sea lion, I think they hunt sea lions or something like that. But a bunch of geese are flying by the road. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, he's rescued, brought on board, and he just wants to go back to land. But they have no intention of sailing back to land. They're off on their job to go hunting, and so they make him work. They turn him into a cabin boy, and he's bullied by all the people above him now, and it's kind of degraded for the fact that he doesn't have any calluses. He's never done a day's bit of labor, and I'm just curious to see how this whole situation is going to change our main character. And so I'm enjoying it so far. Like, I literally just started it, so we'll see. But I don't really know much more about the story than what I've come across so far. So I'm just kind of going in a little bit blind. So, but anyway, today is a beautiful sunny day. Unfortunately, I'll be indoors for most of it, but hope you guys are sitting down to something really good to read. Let me know down below if you've gotten any really good scary books you're reading or plan on reading before the end of the autumn. And yeah, I'm gonna say bye now. Bye bye.